Manhattan is an island. By day, the population grows to over 3 million people. And every evening, 3/4 of them leave the city. If you want to get off the island, you can go over the water or go under it. Tonight, however, commuters are advised to avoid the tunnel.
Why do I get the feeling that when that trailer was shown in New York City, there were people that actually believed that believed what he said about about residents are advised to not go under the tunnel? And I don't know. I think some people might have actually done. Yeah, I think that's a fun concept to play with. But this is Daylight. This is actually the second film Rob Cohen directed in 1996 after Dragonheart, which is a really good film. This one, of course, stars Sylvester Stallone, and honestly, I actually had fun with this movie. I think this is a really fun concept overall. I actually like this movie than most of the other disaster movies that were coming out around this time period. I think it's much more fun than Independence Day. I think it's more fun than Dante's Peak. I think it's more fun than Volcano. I think it's even more fun than Mars Attacks, which we'll get to next week, but I thought this was a ton of fun. It is not a good movie overall. It's a very lackluster script overall, but the effects in this movie look so incredible. It's amazing how this movie looks. The practical effects in this movie look like practical effects, and sometimes the CG doesn't look like straight up CG compared to nowadays. Like, you could definitely tell there's a good mixing of both practical and CG effects in here. And like I said, it's a fun concept too. Like, I actually had to look just to make sure that this was actually something that actually does exist in New York City, where there is a bridge underneath the water, and supposedly, that's kind of true. It's beneath the Hudson River, and it always never occurred to me that was the case, even though I've always said, as I've said before, I've always wanted to visit New York City one day. Hopefully I can still do that someday. That's my hope in my life. That's the one big thing in my life, that I want to see New York City before I die. And I had no idea, for the longest time, I had no idea that they actually had a bridge underneath the Hudson River, and I think that's actually kind of a fun concept here. What happens if something happens to cause the bridge to be damaged and the water starts coming in? And I think this movie does a pretty good job of playing with that concept overall. Story-wise, we've seen this story done over and over again, but I think it does a pretty good job. I think the action sequences are what really stand out the most. Stallone is pretty okay in this movie. This is one of his movies where it wasn't a big hit. And it's actually kind of was one of the last movies before he tried to stage a comeback with Copland the following year, which we'll get to that in 97, but I thought he did all right in here. I thought the movie overall was a ton of fun. I got a lot more enjoyment out of this movie than I thought I was going to. It's not a great movie. It's not a perfect movie by any means necessary, but it's still a fun ride. I really enjoyed it a whole lot. I know a lot of people were very mixed on it when it came out. It was a big hit regardless, but yeah, I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought it was a good, fun disaster movie, and I thought it was a lot better than some of the other disaster movies that we got during that time period. And I'm one of the few people that would probably say that, because I really didn't like Independence Day. Really wasn't a big fan of either Dante's Peak or Volcano either, but this is the one that I like. It's just my kind of taste. I mean, I kind of enjoyed this movie, mostly because of the action sequences and the visual effects in here. I think they really do stick out the most in this movie, and that's why I keep coming back to this movie. This was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. So I really recommend it if you really like a good, fun disaster movie. Daylight, I think, is a ton of fun for what it is. So, yeah, that's Daylight. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is Woody Allen's latest film, Everyone Says I Love You.
An archaeologist?
Marilyn was a nymphomaniac.
Yeah, okay, she had a little problem with fidelity.
As you can see, we're not your typical family. This is a story of a year in our lives that we'll always remember. That's my mom. She's hard at work being soft on crime.
What we need are open prisons, European menus, decorating their own cells.
My stepdad really didn't take it too well.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Stephanie, bring down a copy of my will and an eraser, okay?
That's my real dad. His love life definitely needs some help.
You know, I'm going to kill myself. That's what I should go to Paris and jump off the Eiffel Tower. I'll be dead. You know, in fact, if I get the Concorde, I could be dead 3 hours earlier, which would be perfect.
She's perfect for you. She jogs every morning. You could go and bump into her and meet her.
I swear, my family will do anything for love.
Oh,
Sorry.
Miramax Films presents the hilarious new comedy that's on everyone's top 10 list. American Movie Classics calls it an amazing, fun-filled 10. Deliriously original and very funny, raves Time magazine.
The pasta has no sauce.
It's Bavarian pasta. It doesn't need any sauce.
Alan Alda, Woody Allen, Drew Barrymore, Goldie Hawn, Natalie Portman, Julia Roberts, and Tim Roth, starring in Everyone Says I Love You.
And this is pretty standard for Woody Allen movies. You basically have a story about this upper-class family in Manhattan. They're followed in songs at New York, Paris, and Venice. And various characters act, interact, and sing off each other in other cities. You've got these two young lovers, Holden and Skylar, her parents, Bob and Steffi, her ex-husband, Joe and Steph's daughter, DJ, as they say in this, Vaughn, a lady whom Joe meets, and a recently released prison inmate, Charles Ferry, who was inserted between them, leading to their breakup. And this was not a big hit. This was not a financial hit at all. It was still a critically acclaimed movie. And really, when I look back at this, I think most of Woody Allen's movies have never been big financial successes. I think the most successful movie I think he's ever made financially was probably my favorite movie of his, Midnight in Paris, which came out 15 years later, and I still think that's a really fantastic movie. It's in my top 30 favorite movies of all time, honestly. It's a film that still holds up to this very day. I do like a lot of Woody Allen movies, and I think this one is pretty good. I mean, you got a really good cast with Woody Allen once again. Alan Alda, Drew Barrymore, Lucas Haas, Goldie Hawn, Gabby Hoffman, Natasha Lyonne, Edward Norton, Natalie Portman, Julia Roberts, Tim Roth, David Ogden Stiers, Billy Crudup's in here, Robert Knepper, just some notable names in here. Christy Carlson Romano, Kim Possible. Really solid cast overall here, and it is what you expect from a Woody Allen movie. It's a film where you get attached to the characters, you get attached to their storylines, and I think it does a very good job of creating this unique story that you want to follow around here. And the songs in here overall are really good. It's interesting to hear a lot of these people singing in their own voices. The only person that really does not is Drew Barrymore, but that was because of Goldie Hawn, I should say. Both him and Toy Boat. But I said that one exception was Drew Barrymore, but actually two exceptions. Goldie Hawn, which basically Woody Allen said to intentionally sing it worse because she sang too well to be believable as a normal person just breaking into song, which, I mean, that's a weird way to put it, but it kind of worked. And Drew Barrymore, who convinced Allen that her singing was too awful for even the realistic singing voice concept he was going for, and her voice is actually dubbed over by a woman named Olivia Hayman. It's a fun little movie. It's a surprisingly effective film. It does deliver everything that you'd expect from a Woody Allen movie. Maybe not one of his best films overall, but I really enjoyed it a whole lot. I think you get what you get when you watch this movie. If you know Woody Allen stuff, you get exactly what you get with this. So yeah, on to the last film, and that is Losing Chase.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. You just graduated from Bennington.
No, Sarah Lawrence. Close.
With a degree in art history.
Creative writing.
Creative writing. Oh, I went through a similar charade at Radcliffe years ago. As you can see, it didn't get me very far.
So this is Kevin Bacon's first movie he's ever directed. He's actually directed another movie, Loverboy, which came out 9 years later. And I don't know too much about these movies. I've never seen this movie, nor have I seen Loverboy. But the basic story is that Helen Mirren plays this woman who marries a man named Richard, played by Beau Bridges. And they both grew up in this upper middle class, and her distaste for artificiality leads her to this wild breakdown. And the husband and Richard just doubtfully tries to restore their family unit as best as he knows how by hiring a mother's helper, played by Keira Sedgwick, who is of course Kevin Bacon's Kevin Spacey. That'd be a whole different story. Who's actually Kevin Bacon's wife? And Chase Mirren's character is broken and wildly wickedly caustic. Good lord. wickedly caustic towards Elizabeth until they discover each other's similarities and a strong relationship develops, affecting their personal and familiar salvation and destruction. And I'm reading this off of IMDb because, like I said, I don't really know too much about the movie itself. It was produced for Showtime, was actually on TV in August of that year, but then got a theatrical release after it got a positive reception, I guess, to try to see if they can squeeze out some Academy Awards, but then again, I don't think you could do that because of what happened with the Richard Williams A Christmas Carol special from the 70s, which won Best Animated Short Film, even though it was seen on television first. I guess they changed the rules after that, so I don't know if that's what they were going for here, but it doesn't look too bad. I mean, as far as this movie goes, it doesn't look too bad, but like I said, I don't really know too much about this. I've never seen this movie, so I can't really say if it's good or not. Like I said, I got a positive reception, so I wouldn't doubt if it's a good movie or not, but other than that, though, I really don't know too much about it, but it's got some people I like in it, so I really would think maybe it's got a chance to be something good, but I can't really say for sure until I actually see it. So, that's Losing Chase.
On December 13th,
Is my imagination on? Didn't we arrive in a limo?
Tom Cruise is sports agent Jerry Maguire.
What can I do for you, Rod? What can I do for you?
Show me the money. Say it with me one time, Jerry. Show me the money. Oh, you can do better than that, Jerry. I want you to say it with me, then, brother. Show me the money! Louder. Show me the money! Congratulations, you're still my agent.
Jerry Maguire, rated R, opens December 13th.
So this film is actually inspired by a couple of things. One, most notably, legendary sports agent Lee Steinberg, who you may not know the name, but if you've watched like old archival footage of NBA drafts, NHL drafts, NFL drafts especially, you definitely have seen his face before. You've definitely seen him on TV, waiting with several of his the players that he's agents for in the back room before their names are eventually called. And this is basically inspired by an experience that he had with client Tim McDonald during the 1993 NFL season when free agency was just getting started. It was also inspired by a memo written at Disney by Jeffrey Katzenberg in 1991. And that's a couple things I never really knew about this movie. I knew that what this was. I mean, I've seen this movie several times. I never put those two together, and I never especially knew that Katzenberg actually wrote a memo that was actually the inspiration for this. This is actually Cameron Crowe's third film as a director after Say Anything and Singles, two really good movies. And this is probably the best film that he had done up to this point, and it's hard not to see why. It's a really damn good movie. It works because of the stellar cast that's in here. Tom Cruise is very good playing Jerry Maguire. This is a film that really should have given him... This probably would have been his best chance to win an Academy Award for Best Actor, and I think he should have probably won it, but that's just what the Academy Awards are. They don't want to honor people. They don't want to honor people like Tom Cruise unless it's a movie that's clearly awards bait. But I'm not going to delve into my hatred, not even hatred, but my criticisms about the Oscars on here. I've done that several times before. But Cuba Gooding Jr. got an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and he was very good in here. He was very solid in here, playing the why am I getting confused now? Playing Rod Tidwell, the player that Jerry Maguire is the agent for, and I mean, and then Cuba Gooding Jr. said, "Hey, I've won an Oscar. I can pretty much do whatever I want. So let me go and do Boat Trip, Radio, Daddy Day Camp." And he picked some really bad movies after he won the Oscar. And I like Cuba Gooding Jr. I think he's a good actor, but man, you look at the movies he did after he won an Oscar for this, and it's just like, did you really have to go down the Lou Gossett Jr. route when you could have had more than that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking a lot of smack on him, but I liked him in this movie. I think he did a very good job here. Renee Zellweger is in this movie playing the love interest for Jerry Maguire, and their chemistry works very well. They have a lot of great moments together. This is a cast that also includes Kelly Preston, Jerry O'Connell, Jay Moore, Bonnie Hunt, Regina King. A really solid cast overall here, and a lot of memorable lines in here too. Of course, everyone remembers "Show Me the Money," and you also have at the end of the movie when Tom Cruise goes to Renee Zellweger's house, and he has to win her back by saying the great things like "You complete me," and "Help me help you," and then of course Renee Zellweger going "You had me at hello," and it's just like, this movie has its place in history, and really you can definitely see why it is. It's still a really enjoyable film. It's a film that's held up very well over the course of almost 30 years since its release. I mean, really, there's nothing more to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already. It's a fantastic film, an amazing film that still holds up after all these years. If you haven't seen Jerry Maguire, you're really doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. Definitely check that one out. So that's Jerry Maguire. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is Tim Burton's Mars Attacks.
This is a proud day for all Americans. The Martian ambassador is going to say a few words. Come on down, Mr. Ambassador. Whoa.
That's a Martian? Gross. Oh, my God.
Yikes.
They blew up Congress.
This is the President of the United States. I want the people to know that they still have 2 out of 3 branches of the government working for them, and that ain't bad.
This could be a cultural misunderstanding.
What do you think, Marcia?
Kick the crud out of them.
Jack Nicholson as the president. What's this? Glenn Close as the first lady.
I'm not going to have that thing in my house.
People expect me to meet with them.
Well, they're not going to eat off the vampire in China.
Danny DeVito, Annette Bening.
People say they're ugly, but I think they've come to show us the way.
Pierce Brosnan. Very curious. Martin Short. Sarah Jessica Parker. Michael J. Fox. Rod Steiger.
Annihilate! Kill!
Jim Brown. Lucas Haas. Natalie Portman. Jack Nicholson.
Martians land on Earth. They're going to need a place to stay, just like everybody else.
Hey, you're Tom Jones, right?
And yes, Tom Jones.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Mars Attacks.
Let's cut a deal. I can help you. I'm a lawyer. You want to conquer the world? You're going to need lawyers, right?
So yeah, this was Tim Burton's first major misfire as a filmmaker. I mean, everything he had done up to this point was a success financially. He had some critical misfires. It's not even really misfires. I think he had Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman, critically acclaimed films that were also financial hits. Batman Returns was also a decent critical hit, but it wasn't as successful, of course, as the original Batman, but still made a ton of money. And then he did, of course, Ed Wood, which was his magnum opus at this point. At this point, you really felt like he could do no wrong, and then this movie comes along, and, you know, that trailer shows a lot of promise to it, but then the movie comes out, and yeah, it's a complete mess. I mean, there's definitely some things about it that are really cool. I like the idea of it. There's a good idea here. Like, they're trying to do a campy, over-the-top 50s style sci-fi movie, but it's like they saw Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and said, we can do this on a much bigger budget and make it even more insane and more ridiculous, but they don't even do the insane and ridiculous thing. Everybody and all the people in this movie has such a big cast to it. Jack Nicholson, you see it in there, Glenn Close, Annette Bening, Pierce Brosnan, Danny DeVito, Martin Short, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox, Rod Steiger, Tom Jones, Natalie Portman, Jim Brown, Pam Grier, Jack Black, Sylvia Sidney, and all these people in this movie, they make them the most blandest characters ever. The jokes in this movie are not funny, they're not clever, and every single thing that happens in this movie, the whole movie is basically just these aliens killing people. That's it. There's nothing really that engaging, there's nothing really that exciting in here. It's just, there's so much potential maybe for something incredible, but it just never comes. The comedy isn't really all that funny. The writing isn't really that solid either. This was actually rewritten by Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, who also did Ed Wood with Tim Burton, and the rewrites, but they're not credited here. The person that's only named on here is Jonathan Gems, and it definitely is. This didn't feel like it was written by that same team that gave us Ed Wood. It felt like a movie that, had so much potential going to it, but because apparently when they brought the number in for the possible budget for this movie. They wanted something like $260 million to make this movie, and Warner Brothers basically said, we are not going to give you that type of money for that. And so they eventually cut it down to around, I think it was 60 to 80 million, but still, that's still a lot of money for this movie. And to not have any humor or moments that are legitimately funny and wasting everybody in this cast, that takes a lot of balls to put to say that this is a movie that is worthy of a theatrical release. And it's just like, it's just a mess of a film. And like I said, it has its moments. It has some ideas that really could have been interesting. Like, I like the designs of the aliens here. The visual effects on the aliens are actually well done. There are moments where the comedy actually does kind of work. There's little moments that work. But then again, it doesn't help when you have all these big names here and all you do with them is just kill them off, and not even kill them off in anything really exciting or really hilarious. You just kill them off in the most random ways possible. Most of them are just getting zapped, and then that's it. And then, granted, they do try to change it up every once in a while. Like, somebody gets hit by a chandelier, somebody gets their thumb cut off by one of the aliens. But other than that, though, the movie is just a mess. Like, it's a movie that I've tried for several years to try to get this, to try to convince myself that there is something of value in this movie. I've seen this movie several times on TV. It's been on HBO a couple of times. I've seen it on TBS every once in a while. But it just doesn't work. It just doesn't have that spark that you would expect from a Tim Burton movie. And the ending, like I said before, it's a straight-up rip-off of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is a film that is clearly making itself clear that it is a satire of those movies, and knows it's very cheap, it knows it's very corny and very stupid, and knows that exactly what kind of a movie it is. This movie really doesn't know what kind of a movie it wants to be. Like, it wants to be like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and it wants to be kind of something like a new generation Doctor Strangelove, too. There's even sets in this that are very similar to Doctor Strangelove, and it's just like, it just really didn't work. It's a movie that has so much potential to it, so much promise to it, and a cast that is so much better than this. And this is really the best they could have done with this. This is a film that really, it's a mess. It's a very sloppy mess on so many levels, and I could not believe, of all the times I've tried to watch this movie and try to really get into it, there has not been one time that I've really found any magic with this movie. This is not a very good film whatsoever. It's a major disappointment, especially coming from Tim Burton, who you expect a lot more from. But yeah, this is just one of the first of the several misfires he would have later on in his career. But he would still have those couple movies here or there. In fact, the next movie he did was a good movie. We'll eventually get to that one when we get to Sleepy Hollow, but yeah, Mars Attacks is just not a very good movie. It's a major misfire on so many levels, and it's the first major misfire for a talent like Tim Burton, who has done a lot that has been good, and then he does this, and then it kind of kills it a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that one. That's Mars Attacks. Let's try to go back to a more positive movie. We have Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston in The Preacher's Wife.
Lord, if you're really up there, I need some help.
You okay?
This is the story of an angel.
My name's Gladden. I'm here in answer to your request.
My request?
For help?
A preacher. And his wife.
This is Dudley, the Reverend's new assistant.
Who sent you exactly?
The top man himself.
Now that's what I call good looking.
My toilet is broken.
Let's see what I can do here.
What they needed was a miracle.
It never had a siren.
They got him instead.
Take your wife out dancing. Can't do it. Not tonight. You go.
Henry?
Oh, my.
From director Penny Marshall.
You get out as much as I do.
Oh, less, even less. I guess I don't have to ask if you had a nice time.
We had fun. Remember what that used to be?
Denzel Washington.
Now, I've seen the way she looks at you. Really? I mean, really.
Whitney Houston.
You know you love her.
Yeah, he knows it too. That's the problem.
So what does the sheep say in this play anyway? It's good to see you laugh again.
It's nice to have a reason to.
allegedly.
Check the Angel Handbook. Wait a minute. Hey, Henry!
What was that?
It wasn't me!
The Preacher's Wife.
So this is actually a remake of the 1947 film The Bishop's Wife, which was actually in turn based off of a 1928 novel of the same name. And for the most part, it's a pretty good movie, and it mostly works because of the cast. Denzel Washington, Whitney Houston, and Courtney B. Vance, I think, work off each other very well. You can buy into the chemistry between both Houston and Vance, as well as Houston and Washington. Like I said before, Denzel Washington usually will turn in a great performance, even in a movie that's okay for what it is, but there are some notable flaws to it. I think my biggest problem with the movie comes with, of all things, the preacher himself, Courtney B. Vance's character. I like Courtney B. Vance in the movie, but you see in the trailer there that he kind of put this all on himself. Like, he's the one that called for Denzel Washington to come down and help him, and then when Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston start to have a connection, he gets jealous at him. It's just like, you kind of brought this on yourself, dude. I mean, the whole movie is supposed to be about Courtney B. Vance being a better person to his wife, Whitney Houston, and I think it does work very well here. But I could see a lot of people being kind of turned off by the trailer, because the trailer kind of makes it seem like that Courtney B. Vance is like I said, he kind of puts this whole thing on himself because he's the one that calls for this, and then when Washington and Houston get more cozy together, he's the one that gets very jealous and gets very upset with Washington. And again, kind of brought that on yourself, but it does eventually work out in the end. I think the movie does a very good job of creating a very solid story that isn't anything too groundbreaking or too spectacular, but for what it is and for what kind of a movie it's supposed to be during the holiday season, I think it does well enough to provide a very solid and nice, comfortable movie. I think the performances overall in here are very good. Whitney Houston, Denzel Washington, Courtney B. Vance are great in here. So is Gregory Hines, Jennifer Lewis, Loretta Devine. Lionel Richie has a role in here. Whitney Houston's daughter, Sissy Houston, I believe that's her daughter. Is it? No, it's not her daughter. It's her mother. I need to do more research before I do this, but that was her mother. That was her mother in that movie, which, now that I think about it, it does kind of make sense. The cast overall in here is very good, but the music overall is nicely done. It has the gospel music is very good. It's got a good score by Hans Zimmer. It's a very solid film. It's not a groundbreaking movie. It's not one that's going to shatter a whole lot of expectations. It's not even really the best movie Whitney Houston has been in up to this point, but it works well enough to really recommend it. If you're looking for a nice, comfortable, romantic comedy with some good heart to it, this is definitely one. I'd highly recommend checking it out. I think maybe it works better if you watch it during the holiday season. I have not watched this movie outside of November or December, but I think maybe it might work for another time of the year. But as far as the movie itself goes, I think it works pretty well. I recommend checking it out, especially if you like Denzel Washington performances. This is another good one for him. Like I said, Denzel Washington's probably my personal pick for the greatest actor of our time. And this movie is one of those reasons why. I think he can make a movie like this work very solidly on its own and without making the movie itself really incredible. I think it works very well to his advantage in this film. I think it works solidly. It's a very good film. I highly recommend it. So with that said, on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Laura Dern in Citizen Ruth.
Ruth, I think there's someone trying to say hello.
I'm gonna kill your fucking ass, you bitch!
Suck the shit out of my ass, you fucker!
Hey, fuck you!
No, fuck you!
Fuck you! Fuck you!
No!
This movie actually is much more timely when you really think about it, because this is a film about a poor drug-addled, irresponsible pregnant woman who unexpectedly attracts natural attention from those involved in the abortion debate, which, of course, is still very much a heavy topic even to this very day. This is also the first movie directed by Alexander Payne. He did a short film 6 years prior to this, but this is the first full-length film he's ever done. You see Laura Dern in there. Swoosie Kurtz is also in here. Kelly Preston, Burt Reynolds, Kurtwood Smith, Mary Kay Place, the last film that Kenneth Mars starred in before his death, and Tippi Hedren. It's got a really good cast here, and it is a really good film. If you've seen Alexander Payne's other works, you can definitely tell what this movie is, and it definitely delivers on everything you kind of expect it to be. It's a very fun movie. It's very clever, and it's also very heartfelt, tackling a very topical subject of the time period that's still, like I said, still very holds up today. And it showcases, and it's the beginning of a strong legacy of films by Alexander Payne. I mean, ever in his career, I don't think he's ever made a really bad movie. Even Downsizing, which is arguably his worst movie. It's not that it's bad or anything. It's just a good idea that just doesn't have the right execution to it. But Election, About Schmidt, Sideways, The Descendants, Nebraska, all very solid films, and this movie started all that, and it was a really good film. It works on telling a good story. The cast is great. It's a really solid film that still holds the test of time after all these years. It's a really damn good movie. I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend it enough, I should say. So, yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. It's Citizen Move.
In cooperation with authorities, we request your assistance in apprehending America's 2 most wanted fugitives. Sketch artists have prepared the following likenesses. This Christmas, the Beavis and Butthead hit the road. To seek their fortune.
I want to watch TV.
Find romance.
Can I help you with that?
I love you. Come to Butthead.
You got 2 seconds.
Is that gonna be enough time?
Win fame. These are the most dangerous men in America. I want these faces in front of every Fed and 2 big sheriff within 1,000 miles.
Get the hell out of the cockpit!
To Fed.
Now!
And do an entire nation.
Check out Butthead TV. I think I found the remote.
Beavis.
That's amazing.
That's the coolest thing I have ever seen. You want to see something really cool? Butthead.
On a bus with chicks. Hey, baby.
In an adventure too big for your television.
Did we miss Baywatch?
No. Beavis and Butthead do America. I extend my deepest thanks.
He said extend.
Coming this Christmas.
So, fun fact. This movie made $20 million on its opening weekend, which at the time, in 1996, was the highest opening weekend for a December release in box office history. That's incredible when you think about where we've come in the nearly 30 years since then. And not even a year afterward, this thing would get beaten by Scream 2, and then later Titanic. We'll get to Scream in just a little bit, but Beavis and Butthead Do America. I mean, if you've seen the TV show, the show was very popular at the time. If you've seen the show, you pretty much get everything you want here, and then some. I love the way this movie builds itself. It starts off like a normal Beavis and Butthead episode, and then as it goes along, it becomes a bigger and bigger adventure, and it's what makes Beavis and Butthead so special. Like Beavis and Butthead, I think I've said it before, were a lot smarter than I think a lot of people give it credit for. These 2 guys are dumb, but what made it so smart was the world around these 2 guys. Like there were so many things in this movie, in the TV show as well, where so many situations where you could see Beavis and Butthead as the smart people in this, and the people that are supposed to be smart are kind of the dumbasses. It's a great little satirical, it has a great satirical tone about itself, and the movie takes that to another level because, man, this movie is very entertaining, and it basically just gives you everything you want in Beavis and Butthead, and then some. And it goes as far as it can go, and still manages to get a PG-13 rating on it, which is still pretty amazing. I mean, the animation is pretty good here. You can definitely see Mike Judge going from Beavis and Butthead to what he would eventually do with King of the Hill. The animation style is starting to go down a route that will later be adapted into King of the Hill, which only premiered a year after this movie came out. And Beavis and Butthead would still go on for another year after this movie came out too. The story is very nicely done. I like, again, the building up of a grander story for these characters is always fun to watch. The characters are the same way they are in the TV show. They're very well done. The voice acting really is spectacular. You've got some pretty big names in here. I mean, Demi Moore, Bruce Willis, Robert Stack, Greg Kinnear, David Letterman, and so many others, all used in this movie very well here. The animation is so good here. Even the trippy as hell desert sequence done by Rob Zombie. It makes no sense. It's never brought up again, but at the same time, it's just so amazing to watch. I mean, really, there's not much more I could say about this movie. If you haven't seen, if you don't like Beavis and Butthead, you're probably not going to like this. But if you love Beavis and Butthead, this is just up your alley. It manages to give you a great extended feature-length episode of the series, manages to pack on great amounts of comedy, impressive voice acting, and just an overall fun film experience. I can't recommend this movie enough. If you love Beavis and Butthead, you need to see this movie. And if you don't, you probably won't enjoy it, but I wouldn't say that if you saw it, you wouldn't hate it. But that's just my take on it. But so yeah, that's Beavis and Butthead Do America. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next film, and that is Wes Craven's Scream.
Scared, are you? Someone has taken their love of fear one step too far.
We know you're not the killer.
Solving this mystery
Everybody's a suspect!
is going to be murder.
Who are you?
The question is, where am I? We all go a little mad sometimes. Scream, the new thriller from Wes Craven, rated R.
So Scream, of course, has a place in history, but, I mean, when you really look at the box office for this movie, this was not a big hit when it came out. In fact, opening a movie like this, a horror film, a week before Christmas, was seen as a pretty risky gamble, and a lot of people actually consider this movie to be dead on arrival, and it was actually Bob Weinstein who ordered the film be released on this weekend, which is a date others were critical of, as it was, again, the Christmas period where seasonal and family films were more prevalent. Weinstein basically made the argument that in the film's favor that horror fans and teenagers have nothing interesting to watch during the December period. And yeah, the film barely crossed $6 million. It did $6.6 million. It didn't even hit $7 million, and it was considered to be a failure at first. But then the following weeks, the film gained some word of mouth, gained traction, and the movie, the numbers didn't drop. They actually increased as the weeks went on, and that's why the film eventually went on to gross over $100 million and actually become a critical success. So it's a very interesting situation that they put into this, and sure enough, the next year, the Scream 2 came out around the same time, and it actually did perform a lot better. I think it actually did 3 times better than the original film did. But, you know, I've talked about this series before. I'm not the biggest Scream fan, honestly. I do like this movie a lot. I do really like the first 2 movies, actually. I think this took a lot of the concepts that were introduced in Wes Craven's New Nightmare and took it to a new level. A satirical horror thriller that basically satirizes every horror movie. I mean, it's a film that was very unique for the time period. You have characters aware of real-world horror films and discuss the cliches. They discuss the tropes. They try to find ways to subvert themselves from. I mean, it's a film that deserves all the praise that it deserves for doing something very unique and very different. And it works very well here. It's a very solid film. It's a very funny movie. It's a very good slasher movie. I mean, they have the balls to axe off Drew Barrymore in the beginning of the movie, which is pretty impressive when you really think about it for a film like this. And it was a movie that really revitalized the slasher genre as a whole, because at this point it was pretty much dead. All the good slashers like Jason, Freddy, Chucky, their franchises were kind of dying out at this point, and so this led to a new renaissance for the slasher film genre, and it made for a very entertaining film and introduced a lot of us to some really good talent. I mean, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, who had already gained her name on Friends, Matthew Lillard, Rose McGowan, Skeet Ulrich. I mean, it has a really solid cast, a really good story, and a really fun villain played by Roger Jackson in Ghostface. I mean, Roger Jackson, of course, is best known, other than Ghostface, as Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. And the movie itself is just really, really good. It's a really damn good movie. And I've said before, I'm not the biggest Scream fan. I think after 3, I kind of dozed off. I kind of was past that point. I haven't seen any of the newer Scream movies. I don't know if they're any good. I really don't know if they're any good or not, nor do I really have a whole lot of interest in checking them out. But everyone kept saying the new ones are pretty good. But I still stick by the original 2 movies being really damn good movies. They're really well done, really well, very inventive. Great writing by Kevin Williamson, a great script by Wes Craven. Funny enough, the script was originally called Scary Movie, which actually went on to become the parody of these type of movies just a few years later by the Wayans brothers. But we'll eventually get to those ones when we get into the new millennium in 2000. But like I said, Scream, it's definitely worthy of all the praise it gets. It's a very unique horror movie, a brilliantly made film, a very funny, very scary, very tension-filled movie, a great twist at the end, great moves that you don't see really coming in the beginning. It's just a fun movie. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it already, you're doing yourself a major disservice by not doing so. So that is Scream. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next film, and that is the romantic comedy One Fine Day.
We have to take your friend Maggie to school, and we can't be late because of your field trip. Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Hey. Call Melanie Parker.
Melanie Parker.
Now let her know that you don't need her to take Maggie to school for you.
What time does your school start?
I don't know.
Well, that probably starts around 9. Everything starts around 9.
I'm gonna miss the boat trip.
We'll make it, I promise.
Hey, come back! I got kids here! Jack! It's a big uh-oh, right?
You must be Kristen's ex-husband.
You must be. You don't forget to call Melanie Parker. Underline 3 times.
Taxi!
Wait.
There's this guy who has not only ruined my day, but Sam's as well.
Mom hates your dad. So, my dad hates your mom.
Just want to know if you're wearing panties. Huh? What say I watch the kids while you do your presentation, and then you watch it for me later on the day while I do the column.
I only let incredibly responsible people watch my
I'm
son.
incredibly responsible.
I'm hungry, Daddy.
Want a Tic Tac?
Now, honey, you can't make any noise in the office. I have a really important meeting, okay?
Oh! You're asking me for help.
It would appear that way, wouldn't it?
That I can't cover for you. Now, you've got less than 6 hours. Otherwise, we're printing a retraction, and it'll be your last.
I was just calling.
I just wanted to call it because you don't really trust me. Sammy, no. Put the gun down.
I was sure you were going to either show up 3 hours late or not at all.
Guess what? I'm not like every other man you know.
Guess what? I'm not like every other woman you know.
Maybe you should let somebody help you out every once in a while.
Definitely not. I've got all of these little balls up in the air.
But you're not a control freak.
No, I'm a single working mother.
I met someone today. I don't know how to describe her. She's luminous. She told you she likes me?
It's so obvious, Daddy.
20th Century Fox presents Michelle Pfeiffer.
You're blaming your Peter Pan complex on your mother.
Pan
the one you're so proud
you
of.
have friends.
I don't have time for friends.
George Clooney.
That's because of your Captain Hook complex.
My what?
In a story about 2 busy people.
What would you do if I kissed you right now?
Who just might find the time for each other.
Do you want to kiss me
I
right
wouldn't
now?
have mentioned it if I didn't.
One fine day.
I wonder what they're doing.
Wait.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, 1996 was a good year to be George Clooney. I mean, you start the year off starring in From Dusk Till Dawn, which is a pretty damn good movie. It becomes a cult classic. And then you end the year with this movie, which is not really well known as much as From Dusk Till Dawn, but it's a really good movie. I really think this movie deserves a lot more attention than I think people give it credit for. I mean, this is a pretty solid movie. It doesn't break any new grounds or boundaries, but, you know, it's a 50s-esque style romantic comedy set in the modern 90s type. And I think it's done pretty well, and it works because the chemistry between George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, works very well. You've got 2 charming and charismatic actors working off of each other. You buy into the romantic relationship that's building on them. And you even got the kid actors in here, Mae Whitman from Independence Day and Alex D. Linz, who would later be seen in Home Alone 3. They have a likable charm to each other, and they're not just the typical, hey, just look at cute for the camera actors. They feel like real kids, and you can definitely buy into their relationship. In their relationship as well, as they try to get along as their parents are trying to get along as well. The movie itself does not break any new grounds or formulas. Like I said before, it's a pretty standard romantic comedy setup. Excuse me, but there are more than enough funny moments in here that I think is warranted of an enjoyable film overall. I mean, George Clooney has those great quippy one-liners in this movie that just work so well for the characters he plays. He's very funny in here, and this is a movie that I don't think gets a lot of attention, and I think it really does. It's a surprisingly charming romantic comedy. It's not a revolutionary achievement by any means, but it's a fun, formulaic, well-made film that works off the chemistry of its leads, good comedy, good writing, and good, solid entertainment value all around. It's a nice, very modernized romantic comedy. I think it works very well. Like I said, it's not going to break any new barriers. It's not going to do anything unique or creative with it, but what it gives you is a very solid and enjoyable film. And if you really want to see some really good underrated works by Clooney and Pfeiffer, I recommend this one a lot. This is a really entertaining film. I really enjoy this one a lot. One Fine Day. So, moving on to the next movie, and that is Jack Lemmon and James Garner in My Fellow Americans.
Jack Lemmon is ex-President Kramer.
Yeah, a message from the president. We go. Thanks, Jim. Jim's off today, sir. I'm Bruce.
Oh, sorry. You and Jim look very much alike.
Jim's black, sir.
Yeah, I know, but you're both tall.
James Garner is ex-President Douglas.
I can't believe I just did it with Matt Douglas.
My mother has a commemorative plate with your face on it.
Apparently, I'm dishwasher safe. Dan Aykroyd is current President Amy.
Not so fast, Carl. Slow down. Well, I don't like people running faster than I do. It makes me look pokey.
Kramer and Douglas always ran against each other.
Let's talk about popularity. There was only one assassination attempt on me. You had 3.
2. The woman in Phoenix doesn't count. You only had a starter pistol.
Stop.
But now,
Mr. President, I'm afraid a situation's come up. Here it is.
they've discovered a cover-up
We've had that buried for years.
of presidential proportions.
Somebody wants us dead. When they find out we're not, they're going to come looking for us.
And they're running together.
1, 2, God, that felt good.
We'll go public.
Without evidence,
The people will believe us.
Why?
Because we're presidents. Okay, they won't believe us.
Let's stop talking. We're about to bond. It'll make me vomit.
Jack Lemmon,
I was Time Magazine's Man of the Year.
So was Hitler.
Not twice.
Shoot him!
James Garner,
Give me a sip.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to share my coffee with the Washington Love Machine. You can spit in a petri dish and start a whole new civilization.
Dan Aykroyd,
Vice President Matthews going to this thing?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's remind him that these people are from the Netherlands, not the nether regions.
John Hurd as the Vice President, and Lauren Bacall.
It's a crock, and we both know it. It's a kick in the... Sorry, sweetheart. Please, I'm a politician's wife. I have a set of my own.
In a story about life, liberty, and the pursuit of 2 presidents.
Oh, yeah. Just blend in.
Just blend in.
This is amazing. Not really. We march in these things all the time.
What are you doing here? Are you coming out?
No, I'm not coming out. He is.
Oh, my God, he squeezed my breast again.
My fellow Americans.
So when you watch this trailer, you definitely get a sense that this movie was supposed to be another Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau comedy, which it really was. Walter Matthau was going to star in the film again with Jack Lemmon, but he dropped out, and so they chose James Garner to put him in here with Jack Lemmon. And you could definitely tell that those two, Lemmon and Garner, as much as they try their best here, and they do have some legitimately funny moments here, it really just isn't enough there that, you know, Matthau and Lemmon really could have made this work a whole lot better. But, you know, regardless of that, I still think this is a pretty enjoyable movie. This is directed by Peter Siegel, who had done Naked Gun 33 and a Third, The Final Insult, as well as Tommy Boy, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I really like him as a director. I've talked about it before with the other movies he's done. There's not been a bad movie of his that I've really hated from him. It's been mostly good movies. Some of them have not been as funny as others, but there's never been one that's been an all-around bad movie. And I'd probably put this in one of his lesser films because, like I said, you know, Lemmon and Gardner, as much as they try their best here, they do get some funny moments here and there, but you could definitely tell that Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon probably could have made this a lot more funnier than it really could have been. But, like I said, Jack Lemmon and James Garner, I think, work fine in here. You got a really good cast overall here. Dan Aykroyd playing the president. You got Lauren Bacall, Esther Roll, John Hurd, Wilford Brimley, Bradley Whitford, Jeff Yeager. I mean, there's a good amount of talent in this movie, and there are a lot of good jokes in here that do still hold up very well here. I think this is a very funny movie. It's not as funny as I think it could have been, because I mean, what they could have gotten with Lemmon and Matthau back together, but you know what? They would eventually start another comedy that comes out the following year, Out to Sea, which is a really good movie, which we'll get to that one eventually. But, you know, my fellow Americans, I think it is a very good movie. It's a very solid film. There are more than enough laughs to make the enjoyment factor throughout the running time work. I wish it could have been a whole lot funnier. That's my biggest real complaint about it, is that there really is a lot more potential with this that could have been done, but you definitely could tell that Matthau and Lemmon really would have killed this movie and make it a whole lot better. But as it is, it's perfectly salvageable. I think it is a very fine film. I think it definitely could have been a lot funnier considering what it could have been. But as it is, it's a perfectly fine film. It's a film that I've seen many, many times in the years since it's come out, and it's one that I still get a lot of good laughs out of. It's a legitimately funny film. It has a lot of good moments. Not the best moments, not the best directed film by Peter Siegel, but still a very good film nonetheless. I recommend checking it out. If you like his other works, you'll definitely find some value in this one. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Rob Reiner's Ghost of Mississippi.
This story is true. It was a crime that tortured a family.
Mr. Beck, will you shoot Maggie Edwards? No, sir.
It was an injustice that damaged the nation.
My brother Medgar was the civil rights movement.
And 30 years later,
all right,
it was a case America couldn't afford to lose.
You ain't never gonna get 12 people to convict me of killing a nigger in the state of Mississippi.
Ghosts of Mississippi, a Rob Reiner film, rated PG-13. At theaters January 3rd.
Not quite the American President good, but then again, it's nowhere near as North bad as it could have been. I mean, this is a film that is based off the story of the white supremacist accused of the 1963 assassination of civil rights activist Medgar Evers, and there is a good story that could be told around here. I think James Woods does a very good job playing the character of Byron de la Beckwith. I think that's why he deserved to get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He's had a couple of good movies that got him Oscar nominations around this time period. There's this one, and then I thought Vampires was one of those ones that he probably should have gotten nominated for, but we'll eventually get to that one in '98. But as far as the movie itself goes, it's definitely not one of Rob Reiner's best movies. In fact, by this point, Rob Reiner kind of went on a downward spiral after this. American President brought him back up a little bit, but I'm looking at some of the movies that he's directed since then. There's not that many good ones. There's ones that have some elements to them that could be that are decent. Rumor has it, The Bucket List, Flipped. But other than that, though, the movies that he has after The American President don't compare to his early works. I really think North kind of dinged him up big time, and it took him a long time to really get back on track. And this is a film that has its heart in the right place. There's a lot of promise to it, but it just falls into the category of an Oscar bait film, a film that's trying to win awards and doesn't really do anything unique or revolutionary to make it stand out. It feels like a movie that they're just trying to force the Academy Awards to give him an Oscar for, and it didn't work out in the end. It's a film that has its heart in the right place, has some good performances all around, but not really enough to really recommend it. It's a film that's fine for what it is, but I'm never going to watch it again after watching it one time. So that's Ghost of Mississippi. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next film, and that is Diane Keaton, Meryl Streep, Robert De Niro in Marvin's Room.
That can be a blessing.
After 20 years apart, this family's getting back together.
You mind if I smoke?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be real quiet.
Mom, I'm really sorry I burnt the house down.
ABC raves, I promise it'll make you laugh. And now Diane Keaton is an Academy Award nominee for Best Actress.
Yes!
Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Diane Keaton, and Robert De Niro. Marvin's Room, rated PG-13. Now playing select cities February 28th everywhere.
Again, not a bad movie. There's a lot of good performances around. Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Keaton, De Niro, Hume Cronin's also in here, Dan Hedaya, Cynthia Nixon, Margot Martindale. It has a lot of good things to it, and I think the performances do carry it overall, but as far as the movie itself goes, there's not really much of a rewatchability to it. I mean, it's not a bad movie per se. It certainly is better than Ghost of Mississippi, but it's a film that doesn't really have a lot there that makes me want to keep going back to it. For a one-time watch, I think I got more than enough that I wanted to get from it. But other than that, though, there's nothing really there that makes it stand out or makes me want to see it over and over again. It's like, for a one-time watch, I'm glad I saw it, but I really have no real interest in watching it again. I mean, a decent film, a decent film that's actually more good than bad. It's not a classic by any means, and like I said, you watch it one time, you get pretty much all you're going to get from it, honestly. Good film, but not one I want to watch again anytime soon. So that's Marvin's Room. On to the next movie, Renee Zellweger in The Whole Wide World.
Novel, Mr. Bob Howard. Bob's the greatest pulp writer in the whole world. I'm the boss. Typewriter's the employee. No argument.
Some could say this was the film that got Renee Zellweger the role in Jerry Maguire. Supposedly, when she auditioned for the film, Zellweger met Cameron Crowe several times, but had trouble convincing her she could play a 20-something woman rather than a girl. And then her agent sent her the tape of this movie, and that was the reason why she got hired. So You basically have a story where it takes place in 1933. You follow this Texas school teacher, played by Zellweger, and she's introduced by friends to this Pulp Fiction writer, Robert E. Howard, who's played here by Vincent D'Onofrio. A relationship soon develops between the two, but is doomed by personality conflicts and life events such as the terminal illness of Howard's mother. That's really all I know about this movie. I've never seen it, so I can't really say if it's good or not, but Vincent D'Onofrio and Renee Zellweger could make this movie very enjoyable for what it is, but it's not something that I really know too much about, so I can't really say if it's good or not. But the promise is definitely there, just by the casting alone. So I wish I had some more to say about that one, but that's really all I know about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Sandra Bullock and Chris O'Donnell in Love and War.
I feel like this. We're going to be the most beautiful place on God's earth. And close your eyes.
Sandra Bullock, Chris O'Donnell. In war, they found each other. In each other, they found love. In love and war.
I love you.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday.
Another movie like Ghost of Mississippi, where you have the pieces there for something really good, with Sandra Bullock, Chris O'Donnell, based off the writing of Ernest Hemingway, directed by Richard Attenborough, and it just doesn't really work. It feels like a film that wants to be more of a love story taking place in World War II, or World War I, I should say. Excuse me, not World War II, World War I. But it never really does anything to make it really stand out on its own. It's a movie that's it's more of a Lifetime movie than it should be a war epic. It's a movie that doesn't really recreate the works of Ernest Hemingway's early life very well. It gets trapped in a schlocky, mediocre romantic drama that's trying to be an Oscar contender, and it just doesn't work. It's not a very enjoyable film. It's a bland movie. The chemistry between Bullock and O'Donnell doesn't really work all that well. It's a very forgettable film, and for Richard Attenborough, who's made some really good films up to this point, we've talked about some of his great movies. We've talked about Chaplin. We've talked about Cry Freedom. We've talked about A Bridge Too Far, Gandhi. Shadowlands was a decent film, but this is when his downfall started to kind of take place as a director. He wasn't making the great movies that he was back in the day, and as much as this movie wants to try to be something grand and epic, it just doesn't really do. And I think they really dropped the ball on this one big time. I mean, this is a film that could have been so much more interesting, but it just falls into a been there, done that type of scenario, trying to combine a romantic drama with a war epic, and it just doesn't mesh together in this case. It's a big disappointment on so many levels. In Love and War.
Reporters are about to get the story of the century.
Have you ever met an angel?
Yeah, once.
You're kidding.
Yes, I am.
And the shock of a lifetime.
Would you mind if I touched?
Hey.
Hey, you too.
I'm a writer, too.
Oh,
really? What did you write? Psalm 85.
Michael.
I thought angels were cleaner.
I'm not that kind of angel.
Rated PG starts Christmas Day.
Well, at least it was better than Mixed Nuts, the last movie Nora Ephron did, but this is certainly not up to par with her previous work. And for John Travolta, who had another big hit in 1996 that we already looked at with Phenomenon, which is a far superior film, I could see the potential with this movie, but really, it really doesn't know what kind of a film it really wants to be. Does it want to be a straight-up fantasy comedy? Does it want to be taken does it want to be taken seriously? Because it really has a hard time figuring out what kind of a tone it wants to set, and it has a great cast to really work off of, too. Travolta, Andy McDowell, William Hurt, Bob Hoskins, Joey Lauren Adams, Robert Pastorelli. I mean, there's a lot of really good talent in here. Gene Stapleton, Terry Garr, Wallace Langham, Carla Gugino, Richard Sheath. Really good cast overall here, but it just doesn't have anything really to say about the movie. It's a film that really, it tries to get by on its performances alone, but it's just not enough to really make it stand out. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas that really could have been made with this movie. I mean, John Travolta can be a really good actor. We've seen him in great movies, a couple of really good movies in this particular year. Phenomenon, of course, Broken Arrow was a fun movie. But here it just feels like they just kind of really didn't have a whole lot to work with here. They just knew they had John Travolta and they had the angel wings, and that's the way you're going to sell the movie. And in a way, it did kind of work because it was a big hit at the box office. But As far as the film itself goes, it's a pretty lackluster film. I really would not recommend it, but I'll give it this, though. It's not the worst thing John Travolta's ever done. So, and again, it's better than Nora Ephron's last movie she did, which was Mixed Nuts. So, it's a step back in the right direction, it's even for a film that's not really all that great. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is The Evening Star.
To laugh. Don't you believe that I love you?
Oh, yes, I can see where you live.
Come to cry.
We are your family. You're stuck with us whether you like it or not.
Come to terms again.
I'm looking for the love of my life.
Not that many more shopping days till Christmas. Paramount Pictures presents the continuing story of Terms of Endearment, The Evening Star, rated PG-13. Starts Christmas Day at theaters everywhere.
Kind of like with The Two Jakes, which was convincingly another Jack Nicholson sequel to a very unnecessary sequel to a classic film starring Jack Nicholson, I should say. Yeah, this is the sequel to Terms of Endearment, and this movie was only made because somebody wrote a novel based off of the sequel of the original film, and this is directed by Robert Harling, who had never directed a film before, but had written some notable films. Steel Magnolias, he wrote Soap Dish and The First Wives Club, all very good movies, but here, this really feels like a forced sequel. Nobody was asking for this. You did not need a sequel to Terms of Endearment. Terms of Endearment works on its own. It's one of the best It's one of the best melodrama films you'll ever see. Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger, classic film. Jack Nicholson's great in that film as well. But here, it just feels like they're forcing a sequel, getting all these talented people together. Like, I mean, you got Shirley MacLaine back. You got Jack Nicholson back. Bill Paxton's in here, Juliette Lewis, Miranda Richardson, George Newbern, Marion Ross, Donald Moffat. Just a phenomenal cast here. But again, kind of like with Michael, it just doesn't have anything that warrants really to be coming out here. And it just really, it's not a very solid film. It's a film that just feels like it's just forced out because, hey, Terms of Endearment was a huge success 13 years ago. Let's make another movie. And a lot of death in this movie. I feel like they did that because, well, one of the things that was keeping Terms of Endearment together was the death of Deborah Winger. So let's just multiply it by 1,000. It's just like, okay, maybe not 1,000, but you get the idea. There's way too many people that die in this fucking movie. It's just like, come on, man. Like, this movie really is just pushing itself. Like, there was no reason to make this movie. None at all. Like, I don't care if there was a sequel book made to this. It's just like, just because something has a sequel that's a book, it doesn't need to be a sequel in real life. Like, you know, To Kill a Mockingbird did not need a sequel, but we got a sequel later on down in life, over 6 years later, in book form. And you know what? That was not a great book either. And I'm glad that they never made that into a film. But I say that now. But watch, somebody's going to do it. By the time of recording this, the writer's strike is still going on. So maybe that's a good thing that the writer's strike isn't going on. But I digress, though. The Evening Star, you know, just a pointless sequel on so many levels. There was no reason to make a sequel to this. You don't have you don't have James L. Brooks back. You got Shirley MacLaine and Jack Nicholson back, and that's the only thing you're selling this movie on. It's not a great film. It's a mess of a film. Absolutely pointless. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Woody Harrelson in Milos Forman's The People versus Larry Flint.
Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
No.
Winner, 5 Golden Globe nominations, including Best Actor, Woody Harrelson, Best Actress, Courtney Love, and Best Picture of the Year.
They hate you because you're a smut peddler, you're the worst man in America.
All I'm guilty of is bad taste.
The People versus Larry Flint.
You having a virgin organized religion?
A virgin?
Rated R, now in select cities.
Probably one of Milos Forman's best films after Amadeus. I mean, this is the first film he had done in 7 years. Valmont was not a big hit, critically or financially, but this was a nice return to form for him. Woody Harrelson does a really great job as Larry Flint. Edward Norton is great playing Alan Isaacman. James Cromwell, Crispin Glover, Vincent Schiavelli, James Carville, Norm Macdonald's also in here as well, and even Larry Flint himself is in here. But the biggest surprise of this whole movie, I think it took a lot of people by surprise, was the fact that Courtney Love really was one of the strongest elements of the movie. I mean, it showed that, hey, she really could act, and you really were waiting for her to really take that leap and to become this big future actress and superstar, but that it never really got that way. I don't think she ever did another... Well, she did a couple of other films. She was in Man on the Moon, 200 Cigarettes, and Trapped, but other than that, though, this is probably the best movie she ever started because it really did show her potential as an actress. But of course, she kind of took a downward spiral after the new millennium began. But at least in here, you got to see what she could do as an actress if you give her a really good script to work with. And this is a really good film. It's an entertaining tribute to Larry Flynt while also kind of satirizing him and also acknowledging the flaws of his character. And it's a really solid, enjoyable film. It's a film that it also really shows how much Woody Harrelson has this range as an actor. I mean, I really don't think anybody else could really play this role other than Woody Harrelson, even though they wanted Bill Murray or Tom Hanks, which probably would have been a whole lot better. But I think Woody Harrelson does a great job here, and he's one of the main reasons why this film is so damn good. I mean, People vs. Larry Flynt. I'd highly recommend checking it out. So with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Madonna starring in Evita.
Evita has been nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards. Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Director, and Best Song. Time magazine says you must see Evita. Rated PG. Starts Friday, January 10th at a theater near you.
Not everything about Evita works story-wise, but really, the casting in this movie really saves the movie, especially Madonna playing Eva Peron. This is one of those reasons why Madonna shows in the past that she can be a really good actress, because we've seen her in movies where she really can act and sing at the same time, and there was a little bit of a stretch where she wasn't really doing that too well, especially in the early 90s, but she picked a really good role in this movie. She did a very good job playing Eva Peron, but you also have great performances by Antonio Banderas as well. Banderas, what the hell's going on with my mouth? Antonio Banderas, who plays Che in this, very good in here. Jonathan Pryce as Juan Perón, directed by Alan Parker. Alan Parker, of course, is a director who's made a lot of great movies, including Mississippi Burning is one. Come See the Paradise. The Road to Wellville was not a very good one, but that was the last movie he did, actually. Angel Heart, The Commitments. He's made some really good movies. Some not so good as well, but this is a guy that still could be trusted on if you give him the right material to work with here. And you got the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice as well. It's a really solid film that works solely because of the acting and the music. I think it really does carry the film over for a story that's been kind of done to death and kind of predictable, and the editing isn't really all that great, but the film overall is very solid, and it is because of the scope, the performances, the music. It's just a really solid musical. It's a good film. I'd recommend it. I wouldn't say highly recommend it, but I'd recommend it. If you want to see a really good Madonna performance, Evita is definitely a good choice. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next film, and that is Albert Brooks' Mother.
Are in love with Mother.
This is so exciting! The New York Times, Daily News, and Newsday declare one of the year's 10 best. Entertainment Tonight cheers Albert Brooks is a national treasure.
It takes one to know one, doesn't it, too?
Debbie Reynolds is superb. Rage Newsweek. That's a very good way to say it. And Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up. I know you think you do. Mother, rated PG-13. Check local listings to Showtimes.
And then the movie takes a dark turn at the end, where Debbie Reynolds pulls out her heart, and it just gets crazy, and all that isn't all left up at the end. Of course, I'm referencing the Jennifer Lawrence Mother, directed by Darren Aronofsky, which is a really good movie on its own, and it's extremely dark. And you should check that out. But before you do, here's another Paramount movie with the name Mother to it. And it's a lighthearted comedy with Albert Brooks and Debbie Reynolds, and it's a really damn good movie. It's not quite as good as Albert Brooks' last movie he did, Defending Your Life, which I still think that's a far superior film, and probably his best film overall, but this is a really damn good movie, and it works because it's a lighthearted comedy. You got 2 really good performers here. Albert Brooks can be very funny and is given a very solid performance in here. He directs pretty well, too. Debbie Reynolds playing the mother in this. She's very good. And it's just a really sweet comedy. It's a sweet comedy. It doesn't really have to do anything to really offend you. It doesn't have to go for offensive material or just go over the top for it. Sometimes these comedies can be really fun and lighthearted, and this is definitely one of those prime examples of it. You got a really good cast besides Brooks and Reynolds. Rob Morrow from Northern Exposure, John C. McGinley, Lisa Kudrow. Just a really good cast here. Really fun material overall. I really like it a lot. I think it's a very underrated film, especially for people who like Albert Brooks, but don't really see a lot of his work. I think a lot of his movies really are kind of underrated. Like, he's made a lot of really good movies, like the previously mentioned Defend Your Life, this film, and then his next film, The Muse, is very good too. I'd highly recommend checking this one out if you haven't seen it already. Mother is a very good movie, very underrated film. I highly recommend it. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is The Portrait of a Lady. I've never really seen this one. This is directed by Jane Campion, her first movie after The Piano. You follow the story of this woman, Isabel Archer, who is manipulated by her friend and the devious Gilbert Osmond. Nicole Kidman, Barbara Hershey, John Malkovich, Mary Louise Parker, Martin Donovan, Shelley Duvall, Richard E. Grant, Shelley Winters, Viggo Mortensen, Christian Bale, John Gielgud's in here. A really good cast overall. I guess Barbara Hershey got nominated for an Academy Award for this, and it doesn't look that bad. I mean, despite the fact that it has very mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, doesn't look like it's a bad film overall. I mean, it could look very nice and just have a mediocre story to work with, but I don't know. I really don't know too much about this one to say if it's any good or not, but it came out this weekend, so might as well bring it up. So, anyway, on to the next movie, and that is Kenneth Branagh's massive adaptation of Hamlet.
To be or not to be.
Castle Rock Entertainment proudly presents Hamlet.
And when I say massive, I mean massive on so many levels. First off, it's an unabridged version of Hamlet, which means this runs for over 4 hours long. The setting is updated to the 19th century, but its Elizabethan English text remains the same. And it features just this phenomenal cast. And, I mean, Kenneth Branagh, of course, is in it. Derek Jacobi, Julie Christie, Kate Winslet, Michael Mahoney, Richard Breers, Nicholas Farrell, Robin Williams, Gerard Depardieu, Jack Lemmon, Billy Crystal, Rufus Sewell, Charlton Heston, Richard Attenborough, Judi Dench, John Gielgud, Ken Dodd. And it was the last major dramatic motion picture to be shot on 70mm film, which in that trailer, you could definitely see the scope and scale of this movie. And this is a really damn good movie. For a film that's over 4 hours long, it never makes you bored. It never gets you so... It never gets you like, when is this movie going to end? Like, why is everything moving so slow? It really doesn't do that, and it shines on that. This is maybe Kenneth Branagh's overall best film he's ever made. I think this is a solid entertainment piece, a really good film, a really grand, epic, grandiose film. I mean, I wish I had some more to say about it. It hasn't already been said about it already. But if you have not seen this version of Hamlet, and you can stand for movies that are at least 4 hours long, I mean, you should definitely check it out. You might be pleasantly surprised by it. Even if you're not the biggest Hamlet fan, I think you could definitely still get some value out of it. At least in my opinion, I think you could get some value out of it. So, that is Hamlet. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, Helen Mirren in Some Mother's Son.
Shot. But he was a soldier.
He was somebody's son like you're mine.
Surely no mother would allow her son to die.
You're telling me to betray my son?
These people are our friends and our families.
From the creators of In the Name of the Father comes the most electrifying movie of the year.
You must not do this, sir.
And Some Mother's Son.
Opens December 26th at the Carlton Theater in Toronto.
Coming this Sunday to NBC. I mean, really, when you look at that trailer, you can't tell me you don't expect to see a Sunday on NBC or on the CBS Sunday Night Movie type of thing. That's a preview that reminds me so much of the old school promos they used to do for movies on television. And it's directed by the same people that did In the Name of the Father, which it definitely feels like the same movie, honestly. It doesn't really feel like there's anything that different from that film, nor does it really feel like anything unique or different. I mean, the performances may be good enough to keep it going, but I've never really seen this film to really understand if it's any good. It might be, for all I know, but from what I saw from that little commercial there, I really do not have any real interest in seeing this film. So, like I said, maybe it could be good, maybe it's not, but that's just my thoughts on that one. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last film, which is I'm Not Rappaport.
The triumph of the proletariat, a workers' democracy. The ideas are still fine and beautiful. The ideas go on. The conflict goes on. Like the turning of the stars.
The proper response to these outrages is to be outraged.
Proper response to the outrages is still to be outraged.
Battle is over, comrades. You fight old wars.
Yeah, what? United Consumers Protection Agency.
What the hell is this?
$9.50 for these lamb chops. Now, is that correct?
No, that is neither correct nor just.
You're following the story of two guys. One of them is played by Walter Matthau. He's a cantankerous left-wing Jew, and the other is an African-American man played by Ossie Davis, who they spend their days sitting on a beach in Central Park trying to master the realities of aging, mainly taught through the tall tales that Nat spins. And it tackles several issues: social society's treatment of the aged, the difficulties dealing with adult children who think they know what's best for their parents, the dangers that lurk in urban areas, and its title itself comes from an old vaudeville joke, a variation of which evolves into dialogue between the two protagonists. This is based off of a play written by the director of this movie, Herb Gardner. I never really knew anything about it, honestly, and I might be wrong about this, but I think this is one of the reasons why Walter Matthau dropped out of doing My Fellow Americans to do this movie, which the movie itself, I think, could work just because of Walter Matthau and Ossie Davis alone. Seeing those two together, I think, really could make this movie stand out on its own. You also have a cast that also includes Amy Irving, Craig T. Nelson, Martha Plimpton, Boyd Gaines, Guillermo del Toro. Good lord, Guillermo del Toro is not in this movie. I almost said that, but it could be good. But excuse me. But I think it will work mostly because of Matthau and Davis. I think having those two together really would save the film overall. But other than that, though, there's nothing else that really makes me want to see this now. But, I mean, it's got my interest mostly because of Matthau and Davis. I want to see what they can do with a movie like this. So, maybe one day I'll definitely check it out. I'm Not Rappaport.